You're tuned to the Nowhere Signal. What you're about to hear was never meant to be found. The road had stretched longer than it should have. Ben noticed it somewhere past mile marker 214. He'd been driving for hours. A long client dinner out of state had turned into a string of delays, and he'd made the mistake of insisting he could drive back the same night. The freeway had been empty at first, just the hum of the asphalt, the steady rhythm of white dashes, the occasional passing sign. Now, it felt like the road had bent. Or looped. Or forgotten how to end. His GPS chirped suddenly. Rerouting. Take next exit in 0.2 miles. Ben blinked. The screen flashed, glitched briefly, then returned to normal. He didn't remember seeing an exit coming up. But sure enough, a small sign appeared ahead, green and reflective. Exit 17, Croft Hollow. It looked freshly bolted on. Too new for how empty the road was. Still, Ben was tired. His eyes burned. He could barely keep focus. If there was a gas station or food down that exit, it was better than another hour of highway. He turned the wheel. The ramp dipped downward longer than expected. Long enough that Ben checked the mirror twice. No headlights behind him. No traffic. No noise but his own tires and a low static from the radio. He reached for the volume knob. But when he touched it, the static cut out on its own. At the bottom of the exit ramp was a two-lane road. Cracked and unlit. Surrounded by trees. Ben drove forward slowly. A flickering streetlight passed overhead, then another. Finally, the trees opened slightly to reveal a faded wooden sign, "Welcome to Croft Hollow Population." Ben frowned. The question marks weren't spray paint. They were carved into the wood. He pulled into what looked like a small gas station on the edge of town. Two old pumps. No cars. No people. The lights over the station flickered, buzzing faintly. He stepped out of the car. The air smelled like dust and cold metal. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once, then stopped. The main building looked empty. No cashier. No movement. The door was closed but not locked. Then, just as he turned to get back in the car, a payphone on the side of the building began to ring. Sharp. Loud. Too crisp for a disconnected place. Ben stared at it. It rang again. And again. 5 times. Then silence. Back in the car, the GPS refused to reload. Just a blank screen. The clock was frozen at 2:17 a.m. He tried to shake it off. Just a glitch. Probably nothing. Still, as he pulled away from the gas station and into the quiet town beyond, a feeling crept up the back of his neck. He hadn't taken a wrong turn. He'd taken the wrong exit. The town was too perfect. Ben rolled slowly through the first intersection, and everything looked staged. The homes were neat, their paint unchipped. The yards trimmed. No clutter. No people. Just silent porches, lit windows, and an overwhelming feeling of being observed. His headlights cast long shadows as he turned onto Main Street. There were a few businesses, a diner, a barber shop, an old movie theater with letters missing from the marquee. None of them were open. None of them had doors that looked used. At the next corner, he saw someone. An old man sweeping his porch. Ben slowed the car and rolled down his window. The man didn't look up. "Excuse me," Ben called. "Is there a way back to the freeway from here?" The man paused, leaning on his broom. Then, slowly, he looked up and said, "Everyone's a guest. But not all leave." He smiled. Like he'd rehearsed it. Ben waited for more, but the man just went back to sweeping. A few blocks later, Ben pulled over. He needed to find a way out, or at least figure out where he'd ended up. He pulled out his phone again. No bars. No Wi-Fi. No GPS. The map app refused to load, showing only a white grid and the words, "Croft Hollow not found." He got out and walked. Each block looked the same. He passed the same storefront twice, even though he was sure he hadn't turned around. At one intersection, he spotted a bulletin board. Several flyers were posted there, town events, missing pet notices, but one sheet of paper stood out. It was printed in bold black text, "Town guidelines, reminders to all guests do not speak of the fog. Don't stay past the 4th hour. If you hear knocking, do not answer. The exit is not a place, it's a time. Forgetting is part of remembering. Do not follow the reflections." Ben read the list twice. His skin prickled with cold. He walked back to his car. The streets were still empty. Still silent. But something had changed. He couldn't say what exactly, just that he was no longer alone out there. A shape passed behind a curtain across the street. A shadow shifted in the alley. And when Ben got in his car and looked in the rearview mirror, he thought he saw a second shape standing behind his own reflection. Just for a second. Then gone. Ben found the motel by accident. Or maybe it found him. He'd driven in 3 separate circles, tried at least 5 different roads out of town. Each one curved back to where he started. The Croft Hollow Motor Lodge stood at the edge of a cul-de-sac, tucked behind an overgrown hedge. The neon sign buzzed softly in the dark. Vacancy, always. The lobby smelled like wood polish and damp carpet. At the front desk stood a woman in a red blouse, smiling calmly, as if she'd been waiting. "You must be Ben," she said. He stopped. "How do you know my name?" She typed something on an old computer keyboard and didn't answer. "Room 4, she said. "Already prepared." Ben didn't know what to say. The key was real. Metal. The kind you never see anymore. He walked the corridor. Doors on either side. Painted numbers. Soft buzzing light above each. As he passed room 2, he heard something inside. A soft voice. A man talking to himself. Or to someone else. Then laughter. Then silence. Room 4 was unlocked. Inside, a perfectly made bed, a small desk, a window that wouldn't open, and a mirror facing the door. No remote. No TV. Just a rotary phone on the nightstand and a folded card. Ben opened it. Some guests stay too long. Some forget why they came. You have until 6:17 a.m. No sender. No handwriting. Just the words. He dropped the card and looked out the window. The fog was starting to move in. Later that night, Ben walked out of his room. The hallway felt longer than before. He found the lounge near the lobby. 2 other people were there. A woman with short hair and heavy eyes sat in a chair, staring at a cup of untouched coffee. A teenage boy stood near the vending machine, shaking it, like he'd been trying for hours. Ben approached the woman. "You're new," she said, before he could speak. He nodded. "How long have you been here?" She shook her head. "There's no way to tell time here. You'll feel like it's hours. But sometimes it's days. Sometimes, longer." She looked out the lobby window, into the fog. "Don't listen if they knock," she whispered. Ben sat beside her. "Who's they?" She didn't answer. That night, back in his room, Ben couldn't sleep. The fog was thicker now, pressing against the glass. At 3:06 a.m. The rotary phone rang once. Just once. And when Ben looked in the mirror across from the bed, he saw himself sitting in the chair, but he wasn't. The version of him in the mirror wasn't blinking. And it was smiling. At dawn, or what passed for dawn, Ben tried again. He packed up, left the motel key on the desk, and drove in silence. The town looked unchanged. Not a leaf out of place. Not a light turned off. He took a left onto what looked like a county road. Then a right. Then another right. The GPS stayed blank. The screen wouldn't even power on now. He passed the same 2 mailboxes 4 times. Each time, they read, 21 Lostwood Drive. Return all things. Remember nothing. He rolled down the window. Shouted into the fog. Nothing. Then, around the next bend, he saw something different. A church. Crumbling. Its doors wide open. No sign of life. He parked the car and stepped out. Inside, the pews were empty. The air felt thick. And yet, on the altar, sat a small box. He approached. It wasn't locked. He opened it slowly. Inside was a stack of folded notes, all in different handwriting. Hundreds of them. Each one had the same message, written differently: there is no exit. I tried the road. I tried the woods. I tried forgetting. You don't leave Croft Hollow. It leaves you. Ben stepped back. His chest tightened. This wasn't a town. It was a loop. Back in the car, he found a new piece of paper on his dashboard. It hadn't been there before. Typed. No handwriting. Just, there is no exit. There is only through. The paper smelled like fog. Later that afternoon, or maybe the same moment, time didn't feel real anymore. He tried walking. He parked his car and followed the train tracks out past the edge of town. They led into the trees, into a part of Croft Hollow that felt different. The fog was heavier here. Almost physical. And the air hummed, like a distant signal was vibrating underground. He walked until the tracks vanished into the mist. Then he heard it, footsteps behind him. He turned fast. Nothing. But the fog was closer now. And something was standing in it. Not a person. Not an animal. A shape. Vague. Shifting. And it was watching him. Ben ran. Through the fog. Through the trees. He didn't know where he was going, just away. The footsteps followed, but they never got closer. Then, silence. He stumbled into a clearing. And in the clearing stood a gate. Old. Rusted. Covered in signs: do not enter, exit, disabled, remains under maintenance, do not remember. Behind the gate, a path disappeared into blackness. He turned around, ready to go back. But Croft Hollow was gone. Only fog. Only forest. Only the gate. Ben didn't remember opening the gate. But it was open now. And the fog beyond it was darker, denser, like a night not meant to be walked into. The moment he stepped inside, the sounds of the forest vanished. Even his own footsteps faded into nothing. He walked forward. The world behind him didn't disappear all at once. It folded. Each time he glanced over his shoulder, the trees seemed flatter. The colors dimmer. Like old photos losing their ink. Shapes moved through the fog ahead. Tall ones. Small ones. Some standing still. Others shifting at angles that didn't feel possible. He kept walking. Then came the voices. First a whisper. Ben. Then louder, Ben, you left me. Ben, you were never supposed to come back. Ben, we warned you not to follow the fog. He turned toward them. No one there. Only fog. And mirrors. They weren't mirrors in the traditional sense. Just flat, silvery surfaces suspended in the air, like water that held still when touched. Ben looked into one. He saw himself, but younger. Not just younger. Different. Darker hair. Less tired. Wearing the same clothes from a trip he'd forgotten until now. The image spoke without moving its mouth. If you go further, you won't come back. Ben stepped away. Another mirror. This one showed a version of him with empty eyes, standing in the same clearing, but without the gate behind him. Another voice, the exit is not a place. It's what you choose to leave behind. Ben stepped forward. The fog grew thicker. Closer. And then, suddenly, cleared. Not completely. Just enough to reveal a platform. Stone. Circular. Floating above what looked like nothingness. On the far side stood a figure. Wearing Ben's jacket. Ben's face. But not Ben's eyes. They glowed faintly. The figure lifted its hand and pointed behind Ben. Ben turned. Croft Hollow was visible now, through the fog. The motel. The streets. The looping roads. It all looked so small from here. Then, from behind, you left yourself behind, Ben. That's why you're still here. A sound like static echoed through the air. And Ben understood something, not with words, but with feeling. Croft Hollow didn't trap people. It absorbed them. Every wrong exit. Every moment someone drifted from reality. This place was the gravity well pulling them in. You didn't find Croft Hollow. You slipped. Ben closed his eyes. He remembered the gas station. The ringing phone. The flyer on the board. He remembered being told, the exit is not a place. It's a time. He reached into his jacket pocket. Inside, something new. A motel receipt. Room 4. Dated, June 17, 2019. Timestamp, 6:17 a.m. It was the exact time the front desk woman had said nothing at all. Ben stepped backward. Into the fog. Ben's eyes opened to light. Real light. Sunlight. A warm breeze moved across his face. Birds chirped faintly somewhere nearby. He was in his car. Parked sideways on the shoulder of the freeway. The dashboard clock blinked, 6:17 a.m. But the date was wrong. 4 years earlier. Ben sat up straight. Looked around. The freeway was empty. No Croft Hollow sign. No exit ramp behind him. Just a long stretch of 2-lane road, and a green sign farther up ahead. He drove toward it slowly. Exit 17, Croft Hollow, but the ramp was gone. Just a patch of grass and broken gravel. As if the road had never existed. He pulled out his phone. It powered on. Battery at 64%. The time matched the car clock. Signal bars full. He opened the GPS. Croft Hollow didn't appear. He zoomed in. Scanned the whole area. Nothing. But when he checked his glove compartment, something was there. A folded flyer. Town guidelines, reminders to all guests: do not speak of the fog. Don't stay past the 4th hour. If you hear knocking, do not answer. The exit is not a place, it's a time. Forgetting is part of remembering. Do not follow the reflections. Ben dropped the flyer. He didn't remember keeping it. That evening, back at his apartment, Ben took a long shower and sat quietly on the edge of his bed. He turned on the TV. Static. He changed the channel. All static. He unplugged it. The static didn't stop. It was coming from somewhere else. He walked to the mirror across the room. His own reflection stared back. But something was wrong. The reflection blinked, out of sync. Then it smiled. Ben stepped back. And from the hallway, a knock. He didn't answer. The Nowhere signal will return tomorrow. Until then, sleep light.